Welcome back to Daily Horror Stories. Subscribe and hit the bell for daily horror stories. Ghost. The Haunted Lake of Shimla. The school trip to Shimla was supposed to be the most exciting adventure of the year. More than 40 students and several teachers were traveling through the winding mountain roads when disaster struck. Late at night, their bus suddenly broke down in the middle of a lonely forest road. The driver inspected the engine but quickly realized it could not be repaired until morning. With no other option, the teachers decided to stay at a nearby hotel hidden deep among the mountains. The hotel looked strange. Tall pine trees surrounded it from every side, and thick fog covered the forest behind it. The place felt isolated from the rest of the world. After dinner, the students were assigned rooms and told to sleep early. Among them were three best friends, Ayu, Aman, and Rohan. The three boys shared a room together and were excited to spend the night away from home. As they entered their room, they noticed something unusual. Through the window, far beyond the trees, they could see a shimmering lake reflecting the moonlight. It looked mysterious and beautiful. Aman immediately remembered a previous school trip when two students had secretly sneaked out at night and become famous in school after returning with exciting photographs. A mischievous idea formed in their minds. "Why don't we go there and take some pictures?" Aman suggested. Rohan and Ayu agreed instantly. The plan seemed simple. Wait until everyone was asleep. Sneak out. Visit the lake. Take photos. Return before sunrise. No one would ever know. Hours later, when the hotel became silent and the security guard fell asleep, the three boys quietly slipped outside. The cold night air hit their faces. Using their phone flashlights, they began walking toward the distant lake. At first, the lake looked close. But as they continued deeper into the forest, the distance seemed endless. 30 minutes passed. Then 40. The trees became denser. The fog thicker. The darkness darker. Soon, all mobile signals disappeared. Ayu felt nervous. "I think we should go back." For the first time, nobody argued. The forest suddenly felt wrong. Very wrong. The boys turned around and started searching for the hotel. After several minutes of walking, Aman and Ayu realized something terrifying. Rohan was gone. He had vanished. One moment he was behind them. The next moment he wasn't. "Rohan!" Aman shouted. No answer. Then they heard it. Footsteps. Fast footsteps running through the forest. The sound seemed to belong to someone fleeing from them. Thinking it was Rohan, they chased the noise. The footsteps led them deeper into the woods. Suddenly, silence. The running stopped. The forest became deathly quiet. Then another sound appeared. Scratch. 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 It sounded as if someone was digging into the earth. Slowly, the boys followed the sound. Hidden behind thick bushes, they finally saw the source. Their hearts nearly stopped. It was Rohan, kneeling on the ground, digging a large hole with his bare hands. Mud covered his fingers. Blood dripped from his nails. Yet he continued digging. Aman called his name. Rohan slowly turned around. The sight froze both boys in terror. His eyes were completely black. Not dark. Not shadowed. Black. As if the eyes themselves no longer existed. Aman cautiously approached him and placed a hand on his shoulder. The reaction was immediate. Rohan let out an inhuman scream. Then he threw Aman backward with impossible strength. Aman crashed several feet away. It felt as though a grown man had shoved him. Not a teenage boy. Rohan's body suddenly began shaking violently. His arms twisted. His head jerked from side to side. A few seconds later, he collapsed unconscious. Au and Aman rushed toward him. After a moment, Rohan opened his eyes. Normal eyes. For a brief second. Then his face filled with horror. He stared behind them and screamed. Run! The boys turned. Aman was standing perfectly still. His head hung low. His face hidden. Then slowly, he raised his head. His eyes had become black too. Before either of them could react, Aman sprinted into the darkness. He ran faster than any human should have been able to. Au and Rohan chased him. Their flashlights bounced wildly as they followed him through the forest. Finally, they saw where he was heading. An old abandoned house. The structure looked ancient. Broken windows. Rotting walls. A collapsed roof. It looked untouched for decades. Every instinct told them not to enter. But Aman was inside. Gathering every ounce of courage, they stepped through the doorway. The air inside felt freezing. A strange smell of decay filled the building. Then they heard whispers upstairs. Slowly they climbed the staircase. Each step creaked beneath their feet. When they reached the upper floor, they saw something that would haunt them forever. Aman was floating in the air. Unconscious. Several feet above the floor. And standing beneath him was an old woman. She looked horrifying. Long white hair covered her face. Her skin hung loosely from her bones. And her eyes were completely black. The woman whispered strange words while staring at Aman. Au and Rohan stood frozen. Then the woman suddenly stopped speaking. Slowly, she turned toward them. A smile stretched across her face. The boys screamed and ran. They rushed down the stairs. But when they looked back, the old woman wasn't walking. She was crawling. Like a giant insect. Her limbs bent at impossible angles as she raced down the staircase after them. The sight nearly drove them insane. They burst out of the house and ran through the forest. Branches tore at their clothes. Thorns cut their skin. Yet they never stopped running. Eventually, they reached the lake they had been searching for all night. But before they could stop, both boys slipped. They fell into the freezing water. Immediately, something grabbed them. Invisible hands. Pulling them downward. Dragging them into the depths. Au fought desperately. Kicking. Screaming. Struggling. By some miracle, he managed to reach the shore. But Rohan wasn't as lucky. Au watched helplessly as his friend was pulled beneath the dark water. Gone forever. The lake became silent. No bubbles. No movement. Nothing. Au's mind shattered. Terrified beyond reason, he collapsed on the ground and lost consciousness. When Au finally opened his eyes, sunlight was shining through a hotel window. He was back in his room. Confused and frightened, he rushed outside. Police officers filled the hotel grounds. Teachers were crying. Students stood in shock. Covered by white sheets were two bodies. Aman and Rohan. Both were dead. The police believed it was a tragic accident. But the local villagers told a different story. Many years ago, an old woman had lived alone in that forest. She owned the land surrounding the lake. Greedy villagers wanted her property. One night they attacked her, beat her, and murdered her. To hide the crime, they threw her body into the lake. Since that night, strange deaths had haunted the forest. People who entered after dark often disappeared. Some were later found dead. Others were never found at all. The villagers believed the old woman's spirit still wandered the woods, searching for revenge. And anyone foolish enough to visit the lake after midnight became her next victim. Au never returned to that forest. But even years later, he would wake in terror from the same nightmare. A dark lake. An abandoned house. And an old woman with black eyes, crawling toward him through the darkness. Some legends are only stories. Others are warnings. Ghost Crescent Moon.